Aloha, welcome back to Aina Bear Farm. It is New Year's Eve, so we're almost to 2022. Just wanted to give you guys an update on how things are going out here in the food forest and talk a little bit about growing in winter on the big island of Hawaii. So, for starters, you can see the cloud cover. It's much more common here, December through February. Cloud cover, plenty of rain. So if you've seen a lot of my other videos, you see a lot of very sunny blue days, but a little more gray, a little cooler in the winter. We're at about 1,000 feet, and our temperatures here are typically high in the mid-70s and lows in the low 60s. So definitely a decent range for the plants to continue to grow all through the winter, but with the low sun aspect, they do slow down a good bit, especially the grass, which is nice because it gives me a break. But you can see things are really starting to fill in. Food forest is becoming more of a forest, less of a pasture. You can notice this middle section, we're still keeping that open, nothing planted there. We recently just knocked it down for mulch for our garden, so we got plenty of hay to mulch the garden with. On this side, there are plenty of trees planted over there. It's just really hard to see because how tall the grass is, but all the way down we have two big sections, support trees and fruit trees as well. And you can of course see the nice size ulu sticking out over here. And this is what we basically do, is just cut around them, but then we let the grass grow up where it's not really interfering with anything right now. Later we'll come in, start taking that out and planting other ground cover and support species like we're doing more on this side. So I'm going to try to keep it not too long today, just kind of show you some cool updates and different things that are going on in the winter. So hang tight. So one of the things we're continuing to do this winter is put in these rings of the dead wood from the podocarpus trees that we cut down this summer around our fruit trees. In this case, it's around an entire guild. So in the middle we've got our mangosteen. That's kind of our focus or anchor plant. That's probably getting close to 5 years old now. They're notoriously slow growing for a while as an understory tree, and then they start to accelerate a little bit over the next few years. But with that we've got an Alpaca, the mountain variety. It's a Hawaiian native plant, native fern here. And then creating this understory is our Gliricidia, a really fast-growing tree, also known as Madre Cacao. Downwind, we've got pigeon pea, just a little extra shade, and acting as a little bit of a wind block for that mangosteen. And as I kind of cruise down this way, you can see something else that we do in the winter, which is just add extra plants. This is a ho'ava. Another native tree. It's an understory tree. It does get fairly good size eventually. I've seen them 15 or 20 feet around. It's a really pretty tree as well. And then we're starting to clear more grass and replace it with the perennial peanut. So that will be our favored ground cover in a lot of these spots. So instead of big areas like this of grass that we have to keep mowing and mowing and mowing, we're going to switch a lot of this over to the perennial peanut as it continues to spread and grow. As I cruise this way, we will see something else going on, which is getting ready to start planting a lot of our cacao, which is an understory tree as well. So this spot in particular was where we wanted a cacao tree. I mean, eventually we're going to have a rambutan here that will be pretty decent size. Not that much in the immediate vicinity over here. It's just Tithonia. They've got a long gun over here, and then this is that mangosteen guild. But we really needed a little bit more overstory right in this immediate area, and I wanted it fast, so I seeded this with pigeon pea, which, as we were just looking at here, can get big pretty quick. So that's going to create some kind of instant shade over the next few weeks. We'll just cut out a spot in the middle, throw the cacao right in the middle. But then on the western side, we've got this Hispania sesbin, which was planted around the beginning of summer and is already like 12 feet tall. It's a little spindly, but it will continue to fill in a little bit with this nice kind of dappled shade of the legume style tree leaves, and you can see got some nice flowers on it as well, so we'll get more seed and be able to grow a lot more of that soon. To the east, we've got Gliricidia from a nice big cutting, starting to branch out already, even though it's only been in the ground maybe a month. So that's really nice, and that'll grow fast as well, create those nice lateral branches that'll come out, give some extra protection to the cacao. So by the summer, when the sun's more intense, I do expect the cacao to be nice and fully protected. And I'm just going to keep going this way. I want to show you guys a little corridor here that is just looking particularly foresty now. It's a monkey pod that we planted as about a 2-foot seedling about 2 years ago. You can see they're very fast growing. I like these trees because they have a lot of lateral growth, and that way I can selectively prune out certain branches and kind of create shade exactly where I want it, and then open up spots pretty easily when I need to without having to deal with a lot of that like super vertical growth, and then having to deal with the danger of cutting down a really tall tree and having to manage, what's it going to fall on and all that type of stuff. So pretty pleased with the way this has gone, and it's creating a nice understory for the turmeric right here. We've got another one of the Alpaca understory plants. Of course, bananas on this side. They're more in the sun, but they're sort of framing out the shade on this other side. And then a little harder to see, but there's katuk down here. Just needs some weeding around it. The edible leaf. Keep going. You can see a nicely established mat of perennial peanut surrounding a mamaki. That's an endemic nettle that we use for tea. And keep going a little bit more. We've got quite a few leaves of the bellet, the tree spinach, which 3 plants has really been more than we can keep up with eating here. But it's delicious. I love it. And it also is a fast grower, just creates a lot of biomass, a lot of shade really quickly, and doesn't really seem to need much in terms of food. So I'm pretty pleased with the different functions that this plant's serving. And then just to show you, because we're right here, this is what's left of our roselle. We had 2 plants made, I don't know, like 15 batches of tea straight from the fresh calyxes from the flowers, and then dried a bunch so that we can continue to enjoy that throughout the winter. These are kind of past their prime, so we're just waiting and picking off seeds for next year's crop. Probably grow a little bit more next year, but 2 plants was definitely about all we could personally keep up with, so I'll have to have some other ideas of what we're going to do with all of it if we want to grow more next year. Here I just wanted to show this ice cream bean, planted from seed, already taller than I am, which is great. And then the understory, this is called Meyer. It's a native plant, produces a woody vine that is, the leaves are used in making leis here in Hawaii. So we're excited about having all these different functions for things out here in the food forest. So the ice cream bean fixes nitrogen, has some edible components, produces shade, biomass, chop and drop mulch, but in this case will also act as a scaffolding for the Meyer to climb up. Pretty cool. Here I just wanted to show one of our cacao already in the ground, looking fairly happy, nice and green, under the shade of some very large pigeon pea. This stuff was planted in the spring and is already like taller than most of the trees on our property, 12 to 15 feet high. Pretty incredible. So it's producing good shade, but temporary shade for this cacao. It tends to fade after a while. Sometimes it'll just die for various reasons, fall over, dry out, who knows. But you can prune it and it'll kind of reinvigorate it to some degree, but we want a little bit of a longer term solution, so we've got this Gliricidia here as well. So again, those lateral branches will just shoot out, give some extra protection to that cacao. And then we may as well pan over to this nice abiu tree. Plenty of new, fresh, bright green growth, even in the middle of winter. And we've even got our first fruit. And that is pretty exciting. Okay, we don't grow a ton of citrus on our farm for a couple of reasons. One, we don't eat a lot of it. Two, it's not commercially that interesting to me because so many people grow their own citrus here that most people that live here kind of turn their nose up at the idea of buying citrus. But everybody needs a lemon tree. They're just so useful. And to just have lemons whenever you want them is very convenient. This is a Meyer Lemon, really nice, particularly sweet variety. Got one lemon on it from earlier this year, which just about ripened now, and then plenty of new flowers coming in as well. And it's also really nice to have the smell of citrus flowers in the winter. Thought we'd take a look at this Mame Sapote real quick, putting on a lot of nice new growth, and even has some fruit coming in at the bottom. So they are notoriously long to ripen, probably over a year before we'll be eating those, but cool nonetheless. One of my favorite trees, the Loquat, kind of underrated in my opinion, maybe just because they're somewhat common, but they flower and fruit in the winter, and so we're looking forward to getting another delicious harvest off this golden nugget variety. We've got a mammoth variety on the property here as well, but just a nice tree that puts on a lot of growth in the winter and some fruit to eat as well. Okay, we can end here looking back up the hillside. What we've accomplished here in 2.5 years. Pretty cool stuff. In the foreground here is a sugar apple from Brazil. We got that from Joe Hewitt, and it is really happy here. This spot down here at the bottom of the hill creates a little basin before this ridge, and I think it just accumulates a lot of water and nutrients there because all the trees do really well down here. So throughout the winter, we're just going to utilize the wet season to keep putting trees in the ground, expand this way. We've got a silk oak that needs to come down so that we can plant support trees out there without worrying about crushing it when we take down the tree. So plenty to keep us busy. Plenty more updates coming your way. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and come check out our future videos when you can. Thanks for watching. Aloha.